I have one question that could predict with startling accuracy whether you'll actually achieve your goals and dreams or quietly give up. And the real wild part is it's a yes or no question. If you answer yes, you've got a real shot. And if you answer no, you're almost guaranteed to fail. But don't panic, because in just a few seconds, I'll show you how to turn a no into a confident yes. And that's the whole point. This isn't a motivational pep talk. This is practical, measurable, and it works. Now, I know what you're thinking. Really? One question could decide my future? Yes. And the last time you said it can't be that simple, you were probably standing in front of IKEA furniture with an Allen key, and we both know how that turned out. But this really is that simple. I've seen it play out in my own life. I've seen it in the research, and it will show you in just a few seconds which side of the line you're on, the people who win or the people who quit. So why should you believe me? Well, I'm Derek Selinger, and for the last 2 decades, I've lived out what most people call an impossible dream, performing on stages around the world, on TV, and for audiences of millions. I've written a book, delivered a TEDx talk, and I've studied influence psychology and what it takes to turn vague wishes into real achievements. How to make wishes into dreams. Now, I didn't get here because I'm the most talented or the luckiest. In fact, I've failed more times than I've succeeded. I've bombed on stage, lost deals, and spent years learning things the hard way. And that's why this question matters, because it's the shortcut I wish I had earlier. It cuts through the talent, luck, and even through raw determination. And it shows you in seconds whether you're setting yourself up to win or to quietly walk away. Here's why this question matters. Research shows that it's not a fluffy idea. It's backed by cold, hard numbers. First up, Gallup finds that nearly half of goal setters intend to write their goals down, but only 48% actually do, which means most people are letting their goals evaporate into thin air. Even crazier, Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychologist professor at Dominican University, found that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. That's not just a bit more likely, it's almost half again as likely. And if you feel like you're in the minority, you're wrong. Another study found only 3% of people write their goals down. That's right, only 3%, which explains why the other 97% still have learned Spanish on their New Year's resolution from 2009. So why does this simple act matter so much? Because writing it down forces your brain to do 2 things. It solidifies the goal as a clear target, and it auto-rewires your focus toward finding ways to get there. Even the simplest act of scribbling something down pushes you from being a wishful thinker into pure action mode. And that's when we discuss the idea of goals. And if you've been watching me, I think that goals and dreams are 2 different things. Goals are steps we take on the way to achieving your dreams. So if people don't write down a goal, I would imagine even less people write down a dream. Which brings us to the question I promised, because once you hear it, your answer will tell us if you're set up to win or quietly quit before you even get started. It's this: have you written down your dream and described it in vivid detail so clearly that someone else could read it and see what you see? That's it. That's the dividing line. Winners write it down, quitters keep it vague, floating around in their head, hoping it'll magically work itself out. And this is a harsh reality. If your answer is no, you're almost certainly on the path to failing. Not because you don't care, but because your brain doesn't chase fog. It needs a target. But if you answered yes, then congratulations. You've already stacked the odds massively in your favor. And in the rest of this video, I'm going to do 2 things. If you've written it down, I'll show you how to make it sharper and more powerful. And if you haven't, by the time we're done, you'll have everything you need to turn that no into a rock solid yes. All right, so how do we do this? How do you take a foggy idea floating in your head and turn it into something clear that you can't help but move forward? Here's the process. It starts with just 2 words. What if? Step 1, write a sentence that begins with, what if I? This creates the general dream, the outline. What if I left my job and built my own business? What if I traveled the world and made content? What if I became a great chess player? Step 2, add the word because. This provides analysis in the most important way. By attaching your why, it grounds the dream in personal meaning. What if I left my job and built my own business because I want freedom and because I want to spend more time with my kids? Then step 3, Make it vivid. Fill in the details. This is where you create a believable, vivid, imaginary state you can actually move toward. What does Tuesday look like in that new life? What's on the calendar? What's the bank balance? How do you feel waking up? Don't overthink this. You're not writing the next great novel. You're just describing your preferred future. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It has to move you. So it needs to be as vivid and imaginative and as specific as you can create and write. If you said, what if I learned Spanish because I want to talk to the vendors and other people at Saturday's farmers market, the next phase would be writing in detail the places you would be speaking Spanish. What would it feel like? How would it change your life for the better? You are literally creating a believable scene that you're going to create in your real life. Here's the psychology behind it. What you're doing is asking a question, what if I, because, and then answering it with your preferred outcome. You then create a vivid imaginative state. You are practicing what psychologists call living in the wish fulfilled. And that's not woohoo. It's neuroscience. The clearer the brain's picture of the future, the more it starts reorganizing itself to move you toward it. Or to put it another way, your brain is like a GPS. If you don't type in the address, don't expect it to take you anywhere. And right now, most people are just driving around saying, I know it when I see it, which, let's be honest, is how most of us shop for furniture at IKEA. And we all know how that ends. We end up with strange sounding chairs that don't match anything else in our house. Okay, so here's where we land. If you answered yes to the question and you've written down your goal in vivid detail, then sharpen it with this process to make it even stronger. And if you answered no, then congratulations. You've just diagnosed one of the main reasons you're stuck. But don't stay there. Write it down today. Because that one act flips you from the quitter column over to the winner column. And it's hard to say this without sounding dramatic, but that single shift could be the reason you actually get what you want. To make this easy, I've put the exact framework in a simple PDF you can download in the comments below. No excuses. Unless your excuse is that writing 2 sentences is too hard, in which case I can't help you, and neither can anyone else. Do this today. Don't leave it in your head, because winners don't keep their goals vague. They put it in writing, they make it vivid, and then they chase them down. And because you stayed all the way to the end of the video, I'm going to give you one bonus suggestion. Once you have it written down, rewrite that same thing every week. Ask whether it still holds true as your dream. And if it does, as you rewrite it, it will reinforce the chase. Now, if you want to go further, watch this next video. It explains why you may not have written down your dream before. It's likely because you are a smart person, and often our intelligence gets in the way of progress. I made a video about that. Watch it next.